Welcome to our show where we explore the fascinating world of AI and its impact across various sectors. Today, we are excited to have Albert Chun with us, the director of AI operations at Invisible Technologies. Albert has been at the forefront of AI driving innovation and operational excellence. It's great to have you, Albert, with us. Your journey and contributions to AI are incredibly inspiring, and we are eager to dive into your experience and insights. Can you please share the story of how you began your AI journey? What was the moment of inspiration that led you down to this path?
Yeah, great question. Well, first, I thank you for all the generous words and having me on. It's good to be connected and expand the community and network. Yeah, I love what you're doing with the channel and making AI more approachable and accessible to people. Because I have, if this were a different time, if this were 6 months ago, I'd be a viewer wondering, how I kind of jump into the double dutch that is kind of the AI landscape. Um, yeah, so to answer your question, like how did I, like what inspired me, what got me into the role? Um, I think it was actually a series of like serendipity, if I'm being honest. So prior to working in AI, I worked at an insurtech company. And if you know a little bit about insurance, not to get too into it, but there are a lot of processes, like back office processes that could be readily automated away, right? And
Yeah.
what my company was doing manually, I saw an opportunity to do either with automation or through some RPAs. And Invisible actually at the time was doing more uh, of that kind of BPO 2.0 work. And so I actually sought them out to hire them to take away some of the workflows. And as I was digging into the company, I just thought, wow, like I fell in love with their business model, like kind of this results-oriented business model. It was kind of a win-win approach where, they weren't charging hourly, which I think a lot of BPOs do,
Yeah,
which kind of misaligns incentives. They're not incentivized to do it faster, better, right? Or to
that's
innovate.
right.
They're incentivized to just keep things steady state and not raise complaints, right? And get embedded likely deeply into your process so that it's hard to extract them, right? When I heard that, I'll be honest with you, it felt inherently honest and aligned with the business. I thought it was a very really novel approach and a refreshing one. And so I actually just kind of kept up to date with them. And several months later, I actually sought out Dave Klein. He's a thought leader on LinkedIn in terms of management. I sought him out to provide executive coaching to our executive team. And it turns out that Dave was an advisor at Invisible and worked
Oh,
closely with Ben and Lauren and some Bridgewater alum when he worked at Bridgewater. And so he made the introduction when he saw that I was looking for work. And um, yeah, so I was an early fan, found a connection, a referral, jumped right in, and kind of the rest is history. That's how I broke into the AI infrastructure landscape.
awesome. I think we definitely need a company like Invisible in Australia. Insurance is so messed up here. Having
I
said
love
that,
that.
your point about this executive coaching really tickled me because um, if I look at this Sydney market here in Australia, often it is thought that these executive coaches and they are just bells and whistles and tick the boxes. But as you have said that it seems that Dave has really made some difference there. So how do you select an executive coach? Because if you look at LinkedIn,
Mm.
there are heaps of them, tons of them.
Yes, yes.
So how do you know who is genuine, who would really help, and so what is your selection process here?
Yeah, that is such a good question, right? What I'm hearing is, how do you discern between kind of the fake gurus
Yeah.
versus really the battle-tested people who will help you move the needle
Yes.
personally, professionally for the company? And candidly, I don't know. One, I wish I had here's a three-step method. I don't have that. But I will say, I think when people write about things online, that's you get a taste, a preview into what they do, right? I think the thing that made the difference with Dave is that one, I'm a big fan of his content. Look him up, Dave Klein. Uh, I haven't seen anyone who hasn't been impressed with what Dave puts out. But I think the part that surprised me with Dave is that I usually people put their best foot forward online,
Yeah.
and there's some level of disappointment when you meet them in person because, well, taking all this time to polish and refine what you write online, and but with Dave, he's better in person. And what's actually more surprising is Dave is even better in coaching sessions. And so like it only gets better. Like I remember Dave and I we had a coaching session, and like no lie, I probably thought about his feedback for 5 straight days. And it
Wow.
was like whether it was timing and other people teeing it up in different parts of my life, whatever it was, yeah, Dave being able to speak into my life, not just say what I want to hear, not even the way that I want to hear it,
Okay,
but
that's interesting.
it resonated and it like just
Yeah.
stuck. And I'll actually just share with you what he said. This was like a couple months ago, but it still resonates. He had offered, how do you honor what people have done while being humble in your own approach? As simple as that,
Yeah.
but perfectly timed, perfectly placed, and yeah, perfectly landed in my circumstance. And yeah, it actually helped me manage change personally and professionally. And just, yeah, I imagine that lesson will stick with me for quite some time.
Awesome. I'm definitely intrigued. I'm going to look him up, after this call right away.
Sure.
Um, Another thing, coming back to the AI topic, one thing which I should say that I'm very, very interested in learning from you is that you're a director of AI operations,
Mhm.
and there are not many AI operations or AI ops director out there at the moment. I
Yeah.
still remember when I was doing cloud operations like in 2015, and when someone would ask me, "What do you do?" and I will tell them I'm a cloud engineer,
Yeah.
they would just say, "But cloud engineer? I mean, how does that work?" Because not many people knew what cloud was like 8, 9 years ago.
Yeah.
But now, when it comes to AI ops,
Mhm.
this is still same reaction. Um, you know, we are getting from people when someone says I'm an AI engineer, um, or AI ops director. So, what exactly do you do as an AI? I mean, what is AI operations in real world?
Uh, Great question. I don't know if you watch Friends. This reminded me of when people were trying to explain what Chandler does, and no one could actually define, like, what does he do? I've known him for decades. I still don't know what he does for a living. I mean, yeah, and candidly, my role, you're right, my role feels the same way, right? So I think one way to answer this is to go wide and then narrow. So if we were to look at the AI landscape, I just want a place where my company sits there. Generally, this is plus or minus, because we're always evolving and the market is always changing. So one, I'll tell you what we are not. We are not a foundational model like OpenAI or Cohere or Bard. We don't create GPUs like NVIDIA or AMD, right? But what we do is we help improve those foundational models through human data,
Yeah.
right? And so um, my team, I have a team of folks who do prompt engineering, data annotation, quality control, and we have a few hundred folks on my team who basically their job is to challenge and at sometimes try to break the model so that it takes as many sharp left turns in improvement as possible.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And so it's just the day-to-day management of some of these enterprise accounts
Okay.
to improve their LLMs.
So it includes both open source and closed source LLMs?
Yes, it's agnostic as terms of who the enterprise client is and what their approach is. Because at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're providing just gold standard data to them. Yeah.
Sure. So because it is still bleeding edge, I mean, still very new. So what are some of the biggest challenges you or your team have encountered in this AI operations, and how have you addressed them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, one, it's that it's a human enterprise, right? I think that's management is always management. Leading a team of people is always leading a team of people, right? And so, sure, we have problems that one, like technical problems you would likely not see elsewhere. And we are constantly innovating and finding new challenges to solve, right? Where we get to work on projects and tasks where their white papers were written just like months ago, right? So yeah, it's absolutely from like paper to model, like we are on the bleeding edge. But yeah, I would say some of the biggest challenges are like what are the management one-on-one challenges of
Yeah,
leading a global team, right? Of several hundred
people
people.
centric. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happen there. Um, yeah, and I will say the foundational metrics of success. Yeah, I think this is what happens. When you step in, you'll find, wow, there are remarkable parallels and commonality between what I'm doing in AI operations versus what I was doing in intratech operations
Yeah.
or classroom operations or ed tech operations, right? Because at the end of the day, like what is operations, right? You're day-to-day managing, you're trying
True.
to increase profitability, increase revenue, right? And
Yeah.
make sure nothing breaks.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Keep the lights on too. Absolutely.
exactly, 100%.
So um now there is coming back to the general AI landscape. I know it is still rapidly evolving field, but are there any technologies or trends you are most excited about this year in terms of AI?
Yeah, I would say I am most excited about the go-to-market motion improving. Like I'm actually incredibly bullish around customer education.
Mm-hmm.
I think here, let's look at it this way. Look at every major incumbent in the space right now. Every single one of them are hosting webinars regularly, have free courses, have universities, have badges, has everything. Everyone's trying to get onto deep learning AI. Everyone is on Coursera, right?
True.
Okay, great. Like as he should. We even have like these thought leaders, like industry leaders like Andre Karpathy, who's opened up a YouTube channel just to educate the masses on
Yeah.
AI, right?
Correct.
Because it's like your channel, right?
True.
No one still, it is still so early. A sliver of a percentage of people actually know about AI. I am still learning. It's actually this here's a little bit of heartening news. I talked to a friend of mine who works at Google DeepMind. He said, Albert, you know, there's only a sliver of the percentage of people at Google DeepMind who are actual AI experts, right?
Wow. That's
Even
a breaking news. Okay.
exactly. Even in that company, it's rare air. So, like, one, I think it's just to encourage everyone. You don't know, guess what? No one else knows either, right? So,
Yeah.
where do you get to start? Start with everyone else and start as soon as possible. And so, like, what am I so eager about? I'm eager for the ice to thaw when it comes to AI education. Because what am I waiting for? I'm waiting for certain signals for certain companies and businesses to say, hey, I 5x the ROI in terms of my investment with Invisible.
Yeah.
Here's the funny part. We do have those ROI stories, right? It's
Yeah.
just that it's not super widely understood or maybe even believed, right? And so
Yeah.
what do you have right now? You have kind of we're still in the early adopter phase. We're still on that bell curve of adoption, right? So we're still super early. So I am waiting for just the market writ large to be won over. Like these little stories. I was talking to senior vice president of strategic finance at this like this growth stage fintech company. And he was telling me how he's one of the only champions there, and how he hosted this hackathon to like this low stakes hackathon. Everyone cross-functional meeting.
Yeah.
Everyone's welcome to join. And hey, just like tell us how you would use ChatGPT to eat away some of your workflows. And
Makes
like,
sense.
he had a couple dozen people who did that. And what did he do? He went from one champion at that company to a couple dozen champions at that company, advocates,
Wow.
right? Everyone being convinced, oh shoot, it's this straightforward. Oh, it's this simple. Wait, because most people never actually carve out the time to think through how could I increase my margins, lower my operating costs,
Yeah.
increase efficiency, and like reduce human error by deploying a workflow that leans on AI,
True. Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so that
Now,
I'm like very bullish about that.
cool. So, touching on that point, this is actually a great point you have brought up. When I'm talking to the stakeholders here in Australia, and also one of the top questions on my channel every day, almost every day, is about the impending job losses due to AI. And there's a lot of discussion around AI potentially leading to job losses. How do you view the balance between automation and employment, and what steps can we take to mitigate these negative impacts?
Such a great question, Rod. One, I'll approach this with a lot of humility and gravitas, right? Like
Yeah,
impending, well, it's happening right now, right?
yeah,
Layoffs at Amazon, layoffs at Google, layoffs at Twitch, right? Layoffs at Brex, right? Like
yeah,
it's it is like one, I don't think it's easy. It's not simple. It's very nuanced, and I just have my own point of view. Um, so one, is it coming? Yes. Like I'd argue it's already here. Especially at the heels of what happened, the rifts of last year
yeah,
and the rifts of that are already showing up in 2024. Um, and then yeah, you see like where companies are investing, right? The multi-billion dollar sums of investments that are going into all of these AI companies.
yeah,
Yeah, I would say it is here, and I would say it is still early when it comes to the impact. Um, so I am more seeing my sense for whatever it's worth is yes, those investment dollars are you're taking it from somewhere and you're placing it elsewhere. And so yeah, I do think it is like really important for people who are to upskill, to pivot, to yeah, to familiarize yourself as much as possible with AI, large
yeah,
language models, right? Natural language processing, like absolutely. Um, and yeah, like I'll share how I've approached learning. When there's
please.
like an official way, right? Here's
Yeah,
what I would do. If I was blank slate, like what I would do, I would take as many legitimate certified courses as I could that I could share on either LinkedIn or on my resume,
yeah,
right? So the Coursera course on AI and machine learning, or whatever like I would take as many of those as possible, or the ones that are not just the low lift, hey, the 20-minute video from Google that says you watch 5 videos, right?
yeah,
But like, yeah, like I think there's like certain orgs like Data Camp or Databricks has like a great university. Like all of these companies like I offer, they have them. I would just jump right in. The
true.
amount of free knowledge is actually staggering. You go to
Exactly.
Cohere's website, go to their LLM university. It is the amount of free game that is out there is like
Astounding. Yeah,
it's
totally agree.
staggering. Go to
Yeah,
MIT Deep Learning right now. You'll see years of their content for free,
yeah,
right? Go to CS
absolutely.
229, 221 for Stanford. All free. It's all on YouTube. It's been there for like
Exactly.
several years. It's all there. Millions of views.
Yeah,
Cool. I told you Andre Karpathy, like one of the thought leaders, right? OpenAI, Tesla, like professor at MIT. It's all free and
true.
consumable, right? But here's a question. Here's the thing. That change to do that, it is so difficult. It's so difficult. It's the reason why like, let's put it another way, because I used to be in education, right?
Yeah,
We pay institutions hundreds of thousands of dollars for us to read a book and discuss it.
Wow.
We Many people have paid thousands and thousands of dollars on the Kaplan or test prep to do what? To go through a phone book of questions,
True.
right? Like it is actually really difficult to have the discipline to do that.
Absolutely.
And the enthusiasm after you get through the, whoa, I don't know how to go through these like three-letter acronyms, right?
Correct.
Like it is difficult. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But like that's what's like you have to do it though, right?
Exactly.
Like it's not enough to talk about it. It's not enough to like, hey, I watched a few Lex Friedman podcasts and I'm like good. Like I'd actually argue you have to, sorry, no hate on podcasts. It's fantastic. I mean a lot of great thought leaders there. But yeah, but
True.
what would it look like to actually go through some of the dense work or
Absolutely. Get the fundamentals right. Yeah.
get it in? Yeah, here's another part. Like this is the part I've never read so many white papers for a job as a non-technical person like in my life.
Yeah.
This is actually it actually reminds me of like I may be reading more white papers here than I did as an undergrad, right? Or even in grad school. And that's okay. But here's the great part: it's all accessible, it's all
True.
free. And if there is a gate, if there is a pay gate, it's trivial compared to what's on the other side. What's the threat? If the threat is unemployment, if the stick is unemployment, if the carrot is what? I I posted about this role recently, prompt engineer and librarian at Anthropic for $375,000. The carrot is huge. The stick hurts. What should you do? Take some courses. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Look, amazing insight. Thank you for that. Now, I know that you're a busy person, but beyond your professional life, what are your passions or hobbies, and how do you find they influence your life or enrich your life?
Oh man. Wow, that's such a great question. And it's like something I actually ask my team regularly. So for me, outside of life, I think first and foremost, my family. I have a 4.5-year-old and a 1 month old daughter. And so that takes up a lot of my time. Um, I think, yeah, well, I like personally like to weight lift and train. Been doing that since I was like 11 years old. So that's
True.
just a personal passion of mine. Yeah, and hmm, and I'm just not as, and I'm not gonna be here and say, oh, I do this 7 days a week, no days off. It's like, no, like, I'm a human and
Yeah.
I get it in while I can. Um, and I'd say, yeah, like I do a lot of reading. Um, I think it's funny, for the last 3 years, I've been heads down in reading as many business, like MBA type books as possible. Um, and then more recently, I'm realizing just how important it is to balance practical wisdom with almost mythic legends. And the way I frame it is wisdom may raise my floor, but myths raise my ceiling. And so, yeah, I do a great deal of both. Um,
Amazing.
and yeah, I do. And oh, here's a sidebar passion of mine is like generally biohacking. I'm just a big fan of that. So like you'll see, like if you were to come into my house, in my kitchen, I have a drawer, like a cupboard full of like all of these supplements that are like designed to like increase like longevity or like my attention or focus or replenish my gut biome and whatnot. I do a lot of like red light therapy, cold plunges, like a freezer full of ice bags that I use. So yeah, just there's also kind of that through line. And I lean on Stephen Covey said this, where he said that public wins or personal wins result in public wins. And that level of alignment, I've always just felt that way, right? Like the way you do anything is everything. If I uphold
True.
myself to personal excellence and I keep promises to myself around, hey, like working out or eating a certain type of way or restricting myself in a certain diet, if I do what I say to myself and no one else is looking, like just wait and see when other people are looking. right? And so that's general mindset
Awesome.
approach to life.
Beautiful. That's very, very insightful. Any book recommendation you would give to the viewers?
Oh man, there are a lot. Depending on what. So I
Maybe around this wisdom and any, or maybe any business biography or business book you
mm,
would suggest.
oh man, I wish I
That,
was I wish I was at my home right in front of my library. Um, I think one book that I read quite often is Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Mhm.
I find that very helpful for mindset. I also, my wife gave me, what is it? I forgot his name, but it's basically a collection of Stoic writings that I
Mm,
lean on quite a bit.
nice.
There's a lot of typical things that I like to anchor on, like Lean Startup, Eric Ries, right? Like
Cool.
Ben Horowitz, Hard Thing About Hard Things, right? Yeah. I think one that was recently interesting was our chairman recommended we read I think this book called Eight Unconventional CEOs. I think it's I forgot who it was by, but that book is fascinating. Like
Yeah.
the idea is generally like, to operate with a wafer thin operational layer, and like it discusses like what you ought to centralize and what you ought to decentralize in terms of the approach of building businesses, and when you buy back shares and when you raise uh and when you sell shares. That book is fascinating. Um
Yeah.
and I think Seven Powers is also a
That's a
recent
good one.
one. Yeah, Seven Powers is a good one. He's actually the author. Uh he is an advisor to our company. And
Yeah.
yeah, those are the ones that are kind of top of mind without looking
Beautiful.
at my shelf. Yeah,
Okay. That eight unconventional one I got to buy this today.
that's a good one.
Sounds interesting.
It is that one is remarkably good. I will just
Yeah.
say, yeah, it's remarkably good.
Thanks.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
Okay. Thank you. Well, look, Albert, it's been a pleasure discussing AI and all this stuff with you. I could go on and on, but
Nice.
it's like, I know I'm conscious of your time, but maybe we'll have another session soon around your insights. But really, thank you. It was a real pleasure hearing your stories and insights. Any last advice you want, or any message, thought you want to share with viewer, and especially if someone wants to reach you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, to go backwards, probably LinkedIn is the best way. LinkedIn/n/ Albert dash S dash Chun. Um, yeah, in terms of parting words, is I would just say for people to eat the frog, fear less, do more, right? Like you don't need anyone's approval or permission. I just do it. Yeah. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, that's
Eat the
all.
frog, love it.
Yeah,
Well, thank you very much,
thank
and I'll talk to you soon.
for
Thanks.
sure. Thank you.